Hello, hello, hello. What's happening, people? We need to flick us back round because I've got Lee Judges above my head and Lee Judges got Dan Potts above
Oh
his.
yeah, come on,
Sure,
Dave.
we
What's
can sort
going
that
on,
out,
love?
Dave.
You
I'm
know what
sure
I
we
mean?
can sort that out. Can't get the
No,
staff, Lee. Do you know what I mean?
no,
Cannot
no.
get the
I'll tell
staff.
you what. He's
That's what it is. But
he's
I don't
in
mind being
meltdown
Lee
because
Judges.
he works for Spurs and he does a little bit of Spurs work. He's obviously he's having a Conte moment, and he like you know what I mean.
Yeah, mate. I don't mind being Lee Judges, to be fair. I've just got a little bit
No,
more
no,
hair
might be a
today. Do you
Dan
know what I
Potts
mean?
like you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
So.
You just need to get a little bit of a ginger beard and I need to shave my head off and be all right, mate. Um, how are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, well, all good, mate. All good. What can you say? It's been a stress-free weekend. Um, Obviously, like the weekends get a little bit more stressful now going forward, which is something that we've been praying for, Dan. If I'll be honest. So,
Yeah.
yeah, all in all, a very, very good week. And what about yourself?
Listen, I'm really good, mate, and I can't lie to you. At the moment, this is probably going down as one of the better seasons I've had in a long
Oh,
time. I don't want it to stop, and I don't want it to change, and all that, Lee. I can't lie to you. But I'm happy, bro. I'm happy, and why can't I be? Let's talk about it because obviously last night the news broke.
thank you, Dave.
There we go. Thank you, Dave. Musical chairs. The news broke that Antonio Conte is gone. No massive shock, if I'm honest with you. But do you think? Let's talk about why he went because for me, this was never really going to work when you look back at it now. The only way this works is when Conte comes into a club and is backed 100%. If you want Antonio Conte, you're going to have to give him what he wants because he will win you something. Tottenham didn't do that. Having said that, my God, he's got to take some of the blame because
God,
it was shambolic with some of the performances, the style of football, how boring it was, some of his rants, some of him throwing the toys out the pram. Um, there were some moments where he picked his dummy up and then he carried on. But actually, when, let's be fair, the press conference the other night, it just basically dead and buried. And I reckon, Lee, I don't know about you, but this flight Ryanair stuff, that's him just going. He just didn't want to come back, did he? So I think they've decided we're going to have to we're going to have to get this guy gone. Now, I don't know how true it is about some of his personal stuff. Apparently, he's lost three very close friends and obviously had to have operation. That's going to get into your head and be horrendous mentally. But he's thrown a wobbler in his press conference, and Tottenham have decided to get rid. So, what do you put it down to, Lee? Like, where do you stand on this one? Who do you put? Do you point the fingers at the club, the ownership, the manager, the players? Like, where's it gone wrong at Spurs, man?
down the manager. You can't say he weren't backed. He has surely has the final say. Someone like Conte has the final say on like people like Richarlison, Basuma. By the way, were two players that would have liked to have seen at the Arsenal, if I'll be honest. But would I want them now? And I'm going to be really honest. Would have I wanted Conte a year, 2 year ago? Damn right I would have, because like he ticked a lot of boxes, experience and everything like that, But you know, wha- what's the word when they say you dodge one there, like
Dodge a
dodged
bullet.
the
Dodge a
bullet.
bullet.
We dodged a bullet, absolutely dodged a bullet, like And Tottenham just don't learn. They don't learn, and I've been hearing their fans, what they expect is to win the Premier League. You know what I mean? Like, who do they think they are? Who do they think they are? They
They
expect to
are
win the
deluded,
Premier
aren't
League. You know what I mean? Like, I've never expected Arsenal to win a Premier League. What I've expected Arsenal to do over the last few years, and even this season, is to challenge for the title. But to win it, when you're up against the likes of powerhouses like Manchester City, Chelsea, financially Manchester United as well, you've got no divine right to win a Premier League or a league. You know what I mean? But to be into the hunt with it is something that they've been in the last few years. I think with the club, and I think even with Conte's comments, we've got 10 massive games to get into top four. It's all about top four. Now, listen, we've been down that route, Dan. We've been down that route when it means top four. And when you're aiming for top four, sometimes you fail and then look, things can go wrong. And that's what happened with Arsenal. Arsenal were too set in getting top four. And the reason Arsenal was set on getting top four is because of the stadium and everything like that. It's exactly where Tottenham are now, paying for that stadium. Now, if Tottenham don't get the top four, they're panicking. Now, I look at what's happened over the course of the last, say, month. You look at Conte. playing Sheffield United in the cup. It's not the be and end all to the club to get to the FA Cup final and win it. The be and end all was to top four. That's why he made changes. So for me, it was never going to work because of that. Hold my hands up. I actually thought that I was worried. I'm going to say like Dan. I was worried when he signed. I thought, oh no, they've got a serial winner again. They've backed him with some players, which they did. As I said, Richarlison, 60 million. Basuma. They're players that Arsenal would have took. Basuma definitely. You know what I mean? Was a player that I think we all looked at and said, why haven't we gone for him? I don't think it's just him that in the transfer window in January they said a few things as well. Bought a couple of players there, and done really really well. Listen, I think he's been backed. I think he's had the money. It's just unbelievably not worked for him, and I think that he has to take all the blame for it. And listen, from me,
I love this from Raul. Sorry, Conte will win a trophy before Spurs. That is so true as well.
Well,
he'll go somewhere else and win a trophy now, won't he? It'd be funny.
He will.
Like Jose Mourinho did, who went to Roma and won a trophy straight away.
Yeah,
it's class, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. Gareth Bale's, left Spurs.
Yeah.
Left Spurs, won every season he left Spurs, he won a trophy. Apart from 1 year when he come back there on loan. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is class, mate.
And then went to America and won a trophy there. Yeah. Anyway, but no, look, listen, I'm going to be really honest, and our good friend Tony's in the chat, you know what I mean? And he
got Tony, where is he? Oh, yeah, I can see him there. As the apologies been said.
He actually said, not to worry about Conte at the time. And, I was. And I can tell you why, because they were better than us or getting above us for the last few years. Do I care about Tottenham now? Not one iota. Do you know why, Dan? Because we're 20 points clear of them and a better team, and that's the thing. I've never been worried about them when we've been better than them, you know what I mean? But they did get better than us. But the worst thing about it, from their point of view, is they got better than us, and they never won a trophy. They never done the double over us, right? Which we've done this season, and they must hate us. They must hate the fact that it must really show. Because I can tell you this, Dan, the last 5 years for an Arsenal fan, with them getting above us,
it ain't been fun, has it?
It hasn't been fun. It's not been nice. But the consolation that all of us have had is that we've won a couple of trophies or 4 FA Cups in that little spell along the way. They've absolutely won nothing, and now they're looking at it and hoping and praying that they're all Man City fans at the moment. You know what I mean? And it'd be interesting what's going to happen in a couple of weeks' time when we play Liverpool, who they're going to be supporting because they're desperate for top 4. So listen. I will say this, I think Conte, I'm going to be really honest with you, Dan, now. I don't know how anybody feels about it. I think he's damaged his reputation by the way he's gone on and gone about things. Yeah. I certainly wouldn't have wanted him. I wouldn't want him now. If he come available now, I wouldn't want him now, where 2 years ago I probably would have done.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, you have to say at the end of the day, that Tottenham being Tottenham, and I can't, listen, I was worried, worried, and people like Tony have said to me, Tottenham will always be Tottenham. I'm starting to believe that now.
I don't know how you can't believe it. I don't know how you can't believe it now. They've tried everything, mate. They've tried everything. But let me look at this in another way, right? Playing devil's avocado. I honestly don't believe this, but I'm going to say it because this is a way to look at it as well. Over the since 2008, I'm rubbish at maths. How long's that? 15 years? 15 years. Tottenham have gone out of all the trophies for 15 years. They won the League Cup 2008. Since then, have gone out of every single trophy, and sometimes they've scraped into the top 4. Conte's got sacked for that. If they get into the top 4 this season, which they could do, by the way, what difference has he done than what Pochettino's done, Harry Redknapp's done, Jose Mourinho's done, all the others have done? They've got rid of him. So it makes me laugh. that Tottenham fans don't accept the following statement. Things are bad because Arsenal are top. Nope, nothing to do with Arsenal being top. Nothing to do with Arsenal. Yes, it is. Nope, nothing to do with Arsenal being top. Well, you're in the top four and you're out of the trophies like every single other season. Why is it a crisis for you? Why is it a crisis? It's because Conte's lost his head and said, actually, I hate this. I can't stand this club. It's absolutely cursed. It's awful for me. I need to get out. And Tottenham fans are looking at that going, don't have a go at our club. Oh, Arsenal are sitting top. This is a disaster. What a crisis. But answer me this honestly, Lee. If Arsenal were sitting in eighth, would there be a crisis at Tottenham like there is now? Or is it because Arsenal were flying high at the top and last season they were ahead of us? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It might not be the case, but there's a lot of Arsenal fans, Spurs fans I know that are losing their heads when they're in a top four race, which is apparently a really good season because they were celebrating it last season where they got it. And they're out of the trophies, which they're disappointed about, but they ain't won one since 2008. So they can't sit there going, I am absolutely stunned that we're out of all these competitions. They go out of them every year. Yeah. So talk to me.
Listen, on the same games this season to last season, right? Spurs are 1 point better off last season than this season.
There we go.
Right? They lost to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. Yeah. Not dissimilar at the same stage, not dissimilar to what they'd done with Sheffield United, championship winning side, but they was all having a party come the end of the season when they beat us 3-0 and got top four. The reason that they are like they are at this moment in time and the reason that they're having a meltdown, right, is because Arsenal are where they are. If Arsenal were back in fifth, sixth like they were last season, there'd be none of this. And listen, it's the same for us, Dan. I'll be honest. You know what I mean? When I see Spurs coming above us, I can't handle it. I hate it. I hate the fact that they're coming above us. Right? This season, I don't care what's happening with Spurs. They're in no different position this season than they was last season. This season, I don't care about and where I did last season because we was fifth on about a point and trying to get above them. You know what I mean? And it was, let's try and get above them. We're not worried about getting above them this season because we know it's going to happen. You know what I mean? We're 20 points clear. 20 points clear. Now, they was the ones, Dan, that brought up mind the gap, right? You know what I mean? They brought that up. That was their saying, mind the gap when they was 10 points clear. And then, by the way, we ended up coming above them that season, you know what I mean? They started all that. They start all of these sort of things, right? But in their years of domination against us, and I quote domination because they've come above us by a point or whatever, they've never beaten us home and away, right? And also what they've never done is they've never got in front of us by 20-odd points. You know what I mean? 20 points. You know what I mean? When does that happen? I'll tell you when it was happening. The last time one team come above each other at more than 20 points was when the Arsenal done it. Arsenal are always going to be a bigger club than Tottenham. And us Arsenal fans do not demand week in, week out, year in, year out, a Premiership title. What we demand as an Arsenal fan, what I do demand as an Arsenal fan, is a title push.
100%.
Challenge, that's all. And Arsenal this season are put in a challenge. We didn't put in a challenge last season. You know what I mean? And we was very, very disappointed when Tottenham come above us last season. We was very, very disappointed. But we had lots of injuries and lots of things. There was lots of reasons for that. I don't think it was down to Conte. I remember people going, Tottenham got top four because of Conte. Right? I remember all that. You know what I mean? Tottenham fans were saying that. Probably a few Arsenal fans as well.
I was saying that.
Because of Conte. Well, it ain't because of Conte this season. You can't, you can't have it both
ways. It is because of Conte, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, listen,
you know I mean?
I'm going to say this now. I liked Conte before he went to Spurs. I thought he was a decent manager, I will say this. I can't stand him when he was at Tottenham. I kind of like him again now, but I'll leave you to this point. I'll leave you to this point. And I said this to Tony earlier on, never trust a man in a wig. Never trust a man in a wig. You can be a judge or a baldy old git trying to have hair. Don't mind it if you've got other ways of doing it, but a wig is a no-go in any shape or form.
That's why you've never had a wig, mate.
That's why I've never had a wig. Never trust a man in a wig, right? And that's what I'm saying, But listen, I honestly think, if you're gonna leave Spurs, if you're gonna leave Spurs, what a way to leave them! What a way to leave them!
Mate, what a
Slag
way.
everything off. What all Arsenal fans are saying, and all what we laugh about, their own managers come out and said it. I tell you, you can't write it. You can't give it the gift that keeps on giving. Let's say it now, Tottenham Hotspur.
The gift that keeps on gigging.
It is the
Listen,
gift that keeps on giving.
Tony's in the chat, and if he's still in the chat, he'll like this next bit. I think they have copied Arsenal pretty much to the T, or at least tried to, Tottenham, over the last 10 years. And what's funny is they've copied Arsenal in our most unsuccessful period. Now, I think they're going to copy Arsenal in a way that they will go for a project now and they will start again. And I wanted to ask you what you think is next for them. I know we don't care, but in terms of football chat wise, what do you think is next? Now, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of managers being thrown around. Pochettino coming back is one. Luis Enrique has been mentioned, but the one that apparently is favourite now is Julian Nagelsmann, who has obviously left Bayern Munich after only losing 2 games since Christmas, by the way. Looking at their record, they're a point behind Dortmund in the league, still in the Champions League against Man City. And not exactly a shocker, but apparently behind the scenes, things weren't good personally between the board and Nagelsmann. A manager who made his name at Leipzig, a very, very good style of football, a young manager. I think he's only about 34 or 35 at the moment. I think that would be a good appointment. Having said that, Lee, I thought the last 3 appointments would be pretty good for Tottenham in Pochettino, Mourinho and Conte. So I think, and I'm going to say this, I think ownership and Levy are a problem. And they're more interested in the go-kart track and the NFL and all that crap. And they want to turn Tottenham into a tourist place other than a football club. So I think there's problems there in the ownership. Now, I know you have disagreed a bit that before, and you've said a lot of being, Spurs fans got a lot to be grateful for Levy. I agree with that as well. But I think where I differ with you is what next? When you get to a Champions League final, when you get top 4, what now? Do you stop there and go, well, that's never going to get any more than that? And Levy, unfortunately, and Co and Lewis and Enoch and all them lot, I don't think I'll ever take Tottenham anywhere. So I hope they all stay. I hope they it's forever. But I wanted to ask where you think they might go. Are they going to now go for a Mikel Arteta type project or a Ten Hag type project as opposed to a win now manager? Because Lee, they've tried everything, mate. They've tried a win now manager. They've tried a CV of Jose Mourinho. They've tried a Premier League proven manager in Nuno. They've tried a project manager in Poch. I don't quite know what else they got to go with next, mate.
Listen, I think a lot of Arsenal fans, and myself included, when Arteta became manager, I thought it was a cheap option. Albert, there was lots of managers out there, lots of top class managers out there, but we went down that route of Arteta. Now, listen, when you go back to the Arteta thing, I think they wanted Arteta before Emery, if I'll be honest, so they obviously seen something there, which is, like credit to Edu and the guys there, but I would have liked an experienced manager coming on. And I still feel that to manage a club like Arsenal, you should have been an experienced manager. But in saying that, Arteta at this moment has ripped up everything. He has ripped up everything. And I think now what you've got to do is you look at Tottenham over the years. They went with Pochettino, had a lot of young players coming through the ranks, and done what they've done. Now I think with Mikel, I think that the timing was right. There was a lot of good youngsters at the club, and bought into what he was saying and all that. Not all the players did, because like the experienced ones have decided that weren't for them, and for whatever reason. So you have a thing like, let's be honest, Arsenal, I think I've gone through 2 years of absolute crap under Arteta, watching the teams. Absolute crap football, boring football, defeats against teams that we never think they're going to have. Looking back on it, if you'd have said to me, you're going to have 2 years of that, and then a year of what we've got at this moment in time, and with no guarantee of a title at the end of it, no guarantee of any trophy at the end of it, I'm going to take it, because this season's been sensational. Even parts of last season, Dan, were fantastic. When you look at it, we had some great results, great form, but we had like blocks of defeats coming along, You know, like do you remember we went to Aston Villa that time, 1-1-0. We thought top four was on. We then lose to Crystal Palace, Brighton, and Southampton. Then go away to Chelsea and win. This season has been spectacular. And if you're Tottenham Hotspur, you're going to have to go through pain 2 years to get what you have. I think that they'll take that. But when you look at Arsenal, Dan, we've had players like, you know, they go on about Harry Kane and they go on about Song and all that. We've had some fantastic footballers in the era of the Emirates. Cesc Fabregas, Robin van Persie, Sanchez, Ozil, we've all come and gone.
Cazorla.
Cazorla, you know what I mean? You can mention Koscielny at the back, you know what I mean? Probably the best defender that we've had in that sort of time. Tottenham haven't had that. You know what I mean? Like, they've managed to keep Harry Kane for whatever happens to Harry Kane now. They've had him for the best part of his career. I don't really remember any of our Arsenal players that we've able to keep all through their prime.
It's a great point. We had to sell them all, didn't we? Fabregas, Nasri, Van Persie, Sanchez. The list goes on. They've kept Kane and Son all that time.
So we've had to go through all of that. And then on top of that, 2 years of really doldrums under Arteta, under real doldrums. But, you know, getting players out of the door and things like that. And actually, like, taking a hit on a lot of financial hits as well, like on players, Dan. You know, Ozil, Sanchez, we let those players go for nothing. Ramsey, I wouldn't put him in as a bad player for us. I thought he was a hit, but you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I didn't get no money for him. There was a lot of players like that. So what you have to say is that I think they're going to have to go down and get a young sort of ardent manager. Now, if I was Tottenham, you might laugh at me when I say this, you know what I mean? Like, I would go with someone like Michael Carrick at Middlesbrough.
I won't laugh at that because I think that's a good shout. Because if you look at what people are now doing, up and coming managers, a Vincent Kompany or a Michael Carrick, I would not laugh at that if that was Tottenham.
I think someone like that, too loud. And just say to him, look, and you have to say with Arteta, I don't care what any Arsenal fan says and says, oh yeah, it's great now under Arteta. Under any other football club, Arteta would be gone now.
Oh, he'd be sacked 100. Oh, absolutely, he would have gone. Yeah, he would have gone. Yeah.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, the owners stuck by him, and obviously what the project and all that. Oh, listen, I've spoken to Edo, and he's turned around and he said, we knew we was going to go through this bad stage. And I actually asked him, as bad as what it was, and he laughed. You know what I mean? And said, yeah, probably, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't forget, and he was quick to say the point that 1.5 of those seasons were under COVID restrictions and COVID and everything like that. So listen, you know, so when you look back at it, in hindsight's a great thing. There were circumstances that give probably Mikel a little bit more time because of that. But stick with your manager, stick with it, and look what happens. You can turn around and say that, like, you know what I mean? Now, Arsenal are not the finished article by a long chalk at this moment in time, Dan. And as we say, you know, I think now Mikel, these 10 games will show if he is the real deal or not, because this is where it really does count. But whatever happens from here and now on, he's built himself.
He's overachieved, mate.
Massively. Yeah, he's put points in the bag now, like, you know.
He's got credit in the bank. Yeah,
he's got credit in the bank. So whatever happens in these next 10 games, you know, I mean, like, every Arsenal fan, I think, you know, can't turn on Mikel now, like, you know what I mean, because he's put himself in it. But there will be some, though. There will be some that do. Of course, there will be. You know what I mean? Like, he only had to lose one game the other day, and people, you know, like the European game, and people were going there and meltdown. Listen, doesn't matter if he's always going to get criticism, and rightly so, because that's part of the job. You know what I mean? That you're going to get. You know, Arsene Wenger got part of the thing. So for me, I think that he's put himself in a brilliant position. But this is where I look at Mikel and go, you know, let's see if you've got it, because this is it now. There's pressure now. I don't care what anybody says. There's pressure. The last 2 games, by the way, him as a manager and the team have handled it fantastically well. So you know, and he's built a team, Dan. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm proud of this Arsenal team, these players and everything.
Yeah, everyone loves them, don't they?
I'll follow them up and down the country, and if they do lose a game, I'm forgiving. I've been very forgiving on all games this season because of it. So, Tottenham are in a position now where they've got to go, okay, we'll do that for 3 or 4 years. Now, don't forget, a little bit different for us. We've done all of that, but we had won a couple of trophies along the way, which gives you, and even Mikel did that, by the way, in his first season, won a trophy, which, gives him a little bit more credit in the bank as well. Certainly did for me for a little while. So I think at the end of it, Tottenham have got to go through a lot of pain to get the gain. I don't know if they're prepared to do that, because here we are again, they're in a fourth place and there's a massive meltdown. And that massive meltdown, as we said earlier on, and I'll go back to it, is because Arsenal are where they are.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I keep bringing it up, man. I keep bringing it up. No Tottenham fans want to accept it, man. That's what Tobes, he's going, no, I hate that narrative. It ain't the truth, Potts. This is that. This is that. And I'm like, listen, man, you're top 4. You're exactly the same position as you were, and it's apparently a crisis at Spurs. What's going on, man? It's because Arsenal are flying high and you're jealous of it yet again. They're so obsessed with trying to be like Arsenal. It's crazy. Absolutely madness. What I will say is, for all the turmoil that we've been through, in 32 years, they've won 1 FA Cup. We've won 4 in the last 9. It is mad. It's absolutely mad to actually believe that we have been in a pretty poor state. We've had some glimpses, we've had some moments, but really in our Emirates era, you can't look back at it and go, wow, look at that glory. But you can compared to Tottenham. That's the mad thing. It really is crazy. We're going to move.
Just one more thing, though, Dan.
And
I will say this because it's relevant to Tottenham fans as well as our fans now. Don't forget, Arsenal fans, over a course of 20 years now, 19, 18 years, so whenever the Emirates was since 2006, we've been paying them dearest ticket prices, a lot overboard to a lot of other teams, and seeing poor teams come and go, and seeing teams come and beat us quite convincingly at the Emirates, going to places like Chelsea and losing 6-0, going to Manchester United and losing 8-2, going to Anfield and getting pumped every single season, paying top money along the way. Now, I believe now that Tottenham have overtook us on the prices of tickets now, and I think Chelsea have now, but it's still a very, very expensive thing to follow Arsenal Football Club. Now, we've not been given the right deal with the prices that we've had to pay over the years. So that is why there's been a lot of moaning and groaning. And also, when you see a team like Tottenham getting above you and doing better than you, yes, you're going to moan. Yes, you're going to have a bit of a meltdown because of those reasons, Dan. Now, you know what I mean? Are you worried about how much money you're paying for your season ticket this season?
No, mate, if you look around, they're like gold dust to get now, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And listen, I had a season ticket the other season. I couldn't even give it away for games. Right now, people are biting your hand off for it, you know what I mean? The reason is because Arsenal are playing good stuff, and that's the way it is, But we have gone through it for a very, very long time, Dan. Not just 2 or 3 years like Tottenham have, as I say, you know what I mean? Tottenham, since they've gone into their stadium, have not had to sell one player through financial reasons like we have had to do all the time. If you look back, and even now with Adebayor, I know he retired the other day, hated by Arsenal, wanted to sign for Arsenal, and Arsenal said, no, we're going to take the deal for Man City. So that's another one. Van Persie, we've had to endure that. We've had to endure the Cesc Fabregas. We've had to see it many, many a time.
Remember, Nasri, Clichy and Sagna all went to City, didn't they?
Torre, we've had to see all of that.
Torre, another one.
We've had some real tough times following Arsenal, being mocked by Man United, being mocked by Chelsea, being, you know what I mean? Do you remember that 6-0 drubbing
6-0 thousandth game, 5-2, 8-2 at Old Trafford, 10-2 Bayern Munich. It's been horrible, mate.
10. So I was out there that day, you know what I mean? Me and Tony was in the chat. We went to that game when we lost 5-1. You know what I mean? And then actually come back to the home and lost 5-1 again. We've been there. We've had some tough times. Are Tottenham really, really having tough times at this moment in time?
Well, it
in the last
depends what you
4 or
look at
5 years.
as an expectation. I mean,
Well, the only
expectations
tough thing
change.
that they're having is that Arsenal could win the league. You imagine if we was having that sort of run like we did those sort of times,
Yeah.
and Tottenham winning the league or challenging for the title.
Well, they almost won the Champions League. That night was not a nice night.
Well,
I'll tell
yeah,
you that
go
now.
back to how you felt about that day, like, you know what I mean? We
Horrible.
actually playing in the Europa Cup final a week before and got smashed by Chelsea. We've had some difficult times, you know what I mean? Look, listen, all clubs have difficult times. So that is why, as an Arsenal fan now, you've got to enjoy what's going to happen in the next 10 weeks, whether it goes your way or not, because we're back enjoying our football. We're in love with our football team. Dan, there was times when, you know, I didn't even like any of the Arsenal players. Didn't like any of them.
Weren't
You know
long,
what I
weren't
mean?
long
Like,
ago. Weren't long
you
ago
know,
either.
mate, singing up songs. I remember Tony and that singing up the song at Bournemouth about mocking our own manager.
Oh, the
You know
Fools
what
and
I mean?
Horses one.
The Only Fools and Horses song, mocking our own manager that had won us titles and doubles. Because why? Because we was all frustrated about what was going on at our football club. Gone through some tough times. Now we've gone through that time now, and hopefully, like the good times to come. And perhaps people will turn around and say to you, like, you know, to have good times, you've got to have bad times. You know, certainly there's a lot of fans grew up in an era where they didn't have the bad times. But as an Arsenal fan, I've seen bad times before Arsene Wenger, and then George Graham come along and changed things. And I'll be honest with you, Dan, there weren't a lot of people at the time convinced that George Graham was going to be the right manager, because there was talk about Terry Venables and things like that. And we ended up getting this manager from Millwall, who was known as a stroller and wasn't one of the greatest Arsenal players, a good Arsenal player, but, like, you know, all of a sudden, you know, a little bit like Mikel, if I'll be honest, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden now, look what happens. So enjoy it while you can, because you don't know how long it's going to last. But from Tottenham's point of view, you know what I mean? I don't think they've got it as bad as we've had it.
Fair play. One question in the chat there from IBA17 says, question, in the Champions League, of course, I want Arsenal to compete all the way and win it. The round of 16 or quarters would be acceptable for me, depending on the circumstances. What would be acceptable for you guys? Well, listen, I think we're going to be in it next season. I'll tell you what, Lee, let's do it a different way. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this seriously now. Instead of saying where Arsenal should get, well, how many teams in Europe are better than Arsenal right now? Because I would say that if we were being serious about it, I could expect the way Arsenal playing football to go for the semi-finals here, because you've got Man City, you've got Arsenal, you've got Napoli, and you're going to have to put Real Madrid or Bayern Munich in there, because they're always in and around that. Other than that, I'm not going to sit there and say that Arsenal are going to walk it, but I'd be disappointed if we went out to teams other than those at the moment, the way they're playing. I'd be disappointed over two legs if we lost to another English team that weren't Man City. I'd be disappointed if we lost to anybody other than Real Madrid in Spain. I'd be disappointed if we lost to anybody other than Napoli in Italy. And disappointed if it weren't PSG, maybe you could throw in there. Other than that, Lee, I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but I don't feel like I fear many of the teams in the Champions League this season. But maybe that's just me.
Listen, I think it's a great point that you make. Well, one thing that I would say about the Champions League is experience. We haven't got that. You know, I think what we've failed, if I'll be honest, we've failed in the Europa League in the last few years, because I think we've been one of the best teams in that, and should have won it. Got to a final, semi-final, but other than that, we've not really done it exceptionally well. But I will say on those, and particularly this season, I don't think that it was our priority this season. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like with the Sporting game, there's bigger fish to fry. I think if Arsenal will fall 4th this season, I think we'd still be in the Europa League. Don't worry about that, because I think we would have played a lot, mentally been a lot more switched onto it. But next season,
I've made good points in the chat about not just going out Sporting. I get that, but it's about the lack of squad depth. If we keep this side, we ain't going to get very far.
Yeah, we know that. We
got a transfer window to come. We're thinking ahead. You know, if we can get the right players in the summer, which I think we will, Lee, the Declan Rices and all that. Saw yesterday Zinchenko having a bit of a cheeky chat with Declan Rice, and if you lip read, it says, "Are you joining?" And apparently he says yes and nods his head. So that sounds very interesting for me. If you're a good lip reader, so for me,
interesting.
Yeah. That was I saw that today. are you joining? And he says yes, and then laughs and smiles and walks off. So that to me is a good bit of good bit of business.
I like it. I
So
like it.
listen, I'm thinking ahead of who we might be playing. If we keep this squad and no one comes in, then yeah, we'll struggle
Yeah,
in
well,
those competitions. But we're only thinking about what we believe we can do and how good we're playing at the moment. And I don't think it's unrealistic to think that on our day in those two competitions, we're going to win all four of them. But in the Champions League, which we'll be in, I think the way teams are playing around us at the moment, we shouldn't be fearing many of them. Because I don't think I've looked at anybody this season in the Champions League and gone, "Cool, no one's beating them." My God, how good are they? I haven't done it yet.
listen. The squad at this moment in time is thin for the Champions League. Yeah, you can agree with that. You'd say like at this moment in time, the squad's
Yep.
thin and but we're not in the Champions League. It was not
Exactly,
built.
mate. Exactly.
It was not built for the Champions League. Like last season, team wasn't built for Europe. It was built for what games it had. This season, it's been built to challenge for the top four. Now we've got a very, very good team, and what I'm encouraged with that, Dan, is that we've got a really, really good team without Champions League football. There's not one player that's at Arsenal because of Champions League football. They're there because they want to be at Arsenal, and that's the difficult thing that you've got now. Is you know when you look at maybe let's just take it with Spurs as well. Like they had Champions League football this season, and probably got players that wanted Champions League football. Maybe not the right mentality, maybe not the right way to go about it. What you want is players playing for Arsenal. It'll be interesting to see what happens with other teams like Liverpool now. Like
Yeah.
Liverpool are a big attraction. Are they as attractive as what they are in without Championship? I've always said yes. I've always said that Arsenal's still a big attraction without Champions League football. And if some player says to me, "Yeah, I want Champions League football," I don't want them. I don't want them here at this football club because I can tell you that there's one thing that's if you want Champions League football guaranteed every year, go and sign for Real Madrid, PSG, or Bayern Munich. Don't come to England because there's more than four teams that can get into the Champions
That's
League every
facts.
season.
That is facts as well. That
Right?
is
You know
facts.
what I mean? Like go and join at Napoli or someone like that where it's guaranteed. Or it isn't over here. There's 5, 6, 7, 8. Brighton are if they win their games in hand, Brighton go fourth in the
Yeah,
league.
it's amazing.
Right. So there's no guarantees of Champions League football. There's no guarantee that Arsenal will be in Champions League football next season, as good as they are this season, because you just don't know with all these teams. So for me, if some player turns around and says, "Oh, I'm only going to come to you with Champions League football," don't matter if it's Declan Rice or Jude Bellingham, don't want them. The first thing they turn around and say is like they want to win for Arsenal, like, you know what I mean? That's what they want to do, like, you know what I mean? So, and hopefully that'll be the case. 1 second, just talk, someone's at my door, like, yeah.
No worries. Also saying next year, Sly Digital said next year Champions League final is at Wembley. Places that, let's be fair, last 4 FA Cups that we've won, it's been very nice. Semi-finals as well, we've done well there. And I think with Arsenal in the Champions League, and I honestly believe this when I mean this when I say it, I think that this team will grow now together. The only bad thing we've got is the inexperienced. But that's why I think it's important that we bring the right people in the summer so that we have that squad. If we get in a Declan Rice and we get in Moses Caicedo and etc., we're going to have that strength in depth in midfield. We're going to have to look up top as well to see where we're going with our squad. But I do believe personally that we are going to have a good summer. Fillet of fish, Lee?
No, it's my next door neighbour, Sue. She always bakes a cake every week and she delivers a little bit to me, like, you know what I mean? So there you
Mate,
go.
aren't
She's
you
been
lucky?
doing that since lockdown, right? She used to do it on lockdown.
Oh, bless her.
And baking cake. And since then, she's always done me a little bit of cake, like, you know what I mean? So if
Raoul
it's a
says,
fillet of,
not a fillet of fish.
if it was a fillet of fish, I'd have to tell her, like, it's a no-go, like, it's just a no-go. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't
That's
happening.
a
Like,
no-go. That's a
it's a
no-go.
no-go. It ain't happening, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, there you go, like, So.
Listen, let's touch on England's
yeah,
performance
let's
very
finish
quickly.
with a bit of
Finish
Saka.
with that. A little bit of Bukayo Saka.
Oh my
Me
God.
and you watched the game on DR
Yeah.
Sports, mate, and it was good with Laurie and Ty, which was a good laugh as always. And I do want to bring this up because I think Harry Kane gets a lot of love, right? And rightly so, to be fair, he does. Well deserved. But I honestly do believe that Bukayo Saka right now is the best England player around. And I wanted to discuss that because Harry Kane's going to get the plaudits and he's the top scorer of this, top scorer of that. But I think if there was an honest poll and vote, I think Saka would win it. I think there's more people that appreciate Bukayo Saka than Harry Kane. And I don't want to ask you who you appreciate more because I think it's clear. But I honestly do believe that Bukayo Saka right now is one of the most loved footballers. And I wanted to get your opinions on that, mate.
Yeah. Right. I'll ask you. I'll ask fans out there and watching and everything like that. When was the last time Arsenal had the star player for England? They might have had it for France, Holland, or other teams and all that, Norway and blah blah blah. I can't remember the last time we had a England the number one player. I can't remember.
No,
I don't think
I
it's ever
don't
happened.
either. I mean,
don't think
Tony Adams was obviously the captain, but he weren't star
Yeah,
boy.
was
You know,
probably one at one stage, but
Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole. We've had some great players that've been England,
yeah,
but
but like
I
the
know what you
number
mean.
one,
I ain't been
the
number one
number
star
one,
boy.
you know,
You know,
like the star player.
ain't been a Rooney or a Beckham or an Owen, has it? You know, like it ain't been one of them. Like
No,
no Arsenal player. You're right. I think we might have it now, though, Lee.
we've got it like, I mean, I think Jude Bellingham and Saka are on the same sort of thing at this moment, but Bellingham at the moment is a couple of years younger than, believe it or not, when you look at it, it's incredible, both of them there. But I think that they are the saving grace. Tottenham have had it a couple of times. They've had Paul Gascoigne at one stage, Harry Kane. You know what I mean? And whatever you say about Harry Kane, someone was saying today, he scored a lot of goals.
Tottenham have had loads, didn't they? They always
Yeah.
got Tottenham
They've
players
always,
in
well,
England squad, don't
Tottenham have always had like that thing with England, like, I mean, funny that Tottenham and England don't win a lot on it, but there you go. It's another thing, another story. But listen, like people give a lot of criticism to Harry Kane because he scored a lot of goals against lower opposition. Look, that's international football. International football, there are a lot weaker oppositions and things like that. You still got to be there. You still got to turn out and score the goals. But what I'm really liking about Saka at the moment is that he's 21 years of age. He's going up and up and up. And at the moment, we should be really enjoying him, Dan. And I'm going to be really honest. I'm not really into England games when because of, it's all Arsenal for me. But when you see him doing that and playing like that, I sort of really like, that was a wonderful performance from him yesterday. Wonderful, wonderful performance. I really, really enjoyed that performance from him. Like, I thought it was as good as what we've had. We've had some great players at the time. I'll tell you what, Arsenal, I'm going to go back to the famous back four. Paul Merson when he was in his prime, Ian Wright, I mean, never really played regular for England when perhaps they should do. But this kid's in, week out now for England. Every game. If England had a World Cup final tomorrow, he starts. If England have a real big tough game, he starts. Where in the past I've always thought, is Ian Wright going to get in? Is Paul Merson going to get in? You know what I mean? Like even Tony Adams was left out for a few seasons, which was ridiculous when you look at it. But it is a very, very good time to be watching England now because of Saka, in my opinion. I thought he was absolutely sensational yesterday.
Listen, I'm a huge fan, of course, but I looked at it yesterday and it was the first time that I believed everybody thought, yeah, okay, I'm with it now. And sometimes neutral fans don't want to big up Arsenal players. I get it, I understand it. We're not too happy bigging up Harry Kane, but I think there's a lot of, even yourself, Lee, will say how good Harry Kane is, and we did mention it last night about what a player he is. But there's something about Saka off the pitch that everyone seems to love, and it ain't just neutral football fans; it's the players as well. The amount of times I saw the players going up to him and hugging him and loving having banter with him, and even the countdown thing where he got chosen to be the dictionary corner. And I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
absolutely
good,
superb. Brilliant fun. And the match of the day 2 interview with Martin Keown, absolutely loved everything about that interview for me. Just loved everything about it. Go on then, what do you think, Martin? What do you think we're going to do? Why don't you think we're going to win the league? We're fearless, mate. We don't fear anyone. Everything he was saying was class, mate. And I just feel like, Lee, there's been a lot of unbelievably good players that have come through the ranks at Arsenal. But for me, I think he's going to be number one. And we've had Tony Adams, Ashley Cole, Jack Wilshere was great when he come through. People forget that. Michael Thomas and Rocky. But I do think, and Paul Merson, but I do think this kid has just got it all. And I don't think I've seen anyone at Arsenal that good, that young for a long time. That can play in any position. If you put him right back, right wing back, left wing back,
Yeah.
right wing, left wing, number 8, number 10 if he had to, centre forward if he had to, false 9, he'd go and give 110%. But I think he's found his own on that right-hand side now. And I just think the balance of the side's so good. Definitely a target for England as well. They're always looking to ping balls over to him. And I think when you're relied upon at such a young age at club and country, you know you're going to be a star. And I think he deserves the name Star Boy because he's done it for the last 2 or maybe 3 years now, and he's experienced a hell of a lot for a 21-year-old, Lee. You know, he's gone through a hell of a lot with club and country, went through all the horrendous stuff on social media, the racism stuff, missing the penalty, getting to the finals and the semi-finals of England, getting to competitions of Arsenal, going and doing what he's doing at the moment this season at the top of the league. I absolutely love everything about the kid, and I just want to know, without putting too much pressure on him, where you think this kid can go. Like, could he be seen as levels of the Arsenal top greats of Bergkamp, Henry? Is he going to be a kind of level below that in like a Pires or Lundberg sort of capacity? Where are we kind of ranking the potential of this kid right now?
We're ranking him at the very, very top. The very, very top. I think there's 21-year-olds who, you know, who's better than him at 21. Now, I would look at it. Liam Brady would probably be in that list. David Rocastle, Paul Merson. But other than Liam, you know, unfortunately, injuries for Rocky. Probably like a bit of mentality for Paul. They didn't really go that far. Liam did. Liam was unbelievable. But I think that, you know, he is at the very, very top. There's one thing going to stop him, Dan, and that's injuries. You know what I mean? Like it did, unfortunately, Jack Wilshere. But I think at 21, the best youngster under 21 I've ever seen play football was probably Cesc Fabregas. That was unbelievable. I think that Saka can go better than that. I really do. I think he can go one step higher than that, and into the absolute elite world class players. Because even Ronaldo at 21 weren't doing what Saka's doing at this moment in time. He was probably on the same sort of level, but like, you know, then went up into the gods, if you like. And I'm really think that Saka can do this. I really do. I think that. Is there a better player than him in that position at this moment in time? I don't think so. I think that he carried Arsenal a little bit like Liam Brady did for a couple of seasons, a poor Arsenal team. You know what I mean? Now he's the best player amongst a lot of very, very good players in the Arsenal team. Like, you know, so I really think the next couple of years are going to be really something special. I think someone just said Rooney and Owen that were unreal at 18. I tell you who else was unreal for Arsenal at that age, Nicholas Anelka. He was another one that would have to be up there as a very, very talented player. But Saka's up there. He's certainly up there with all of these guys, you know what I mean? And I think now he's stepped up another level. I think the one thing that's stopping me saying that Saka's world class at this moment in time is he hasn't played in the Champions League. Once he's played in the Champions League and smashes that like he smashed everything else that he's done, then I think it will be. So next season will be another season for him when he pushes on as well. If he can stay injury free, which is a worry because he does get kicked to hell and back. I just think, you know, the sky's the limit for him, Dan. I really do.
Yeah, I do, mate. And, you know, big up Fergus as well. Fergus in the chat. Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Guys, make sure you go over to Guns and Yellow Ribbons and smash the subscribe here. They're heading over towards their subscriber fee. Me and Lee have been on there quite a few times. So make sure you do that, people. Says, only worry about how much nasty tackles he receives. He needs more protection. Talking of nasty tackles, Rodri tried to whack the hell out of Erdegaard, didn't he? Luckily, he's all right. But, yeah, I do agree with that. I think Saka does get kicked a lot, and that is a worry because Jack Wilshere was the same. He gets kicked a lot as well. But for me, I think, like you say, high ceiling. And I think him and Martinelli, when they come on the scene, it was like who was going to be the better player, who was going to be higher ceiling. And I think Saka has stolen the show, even though I think Martinelli is absolutely superb. I just think Saka's just got that little bit of edge over him, if I'm honest. But it's great to see. We've got a couple of super chats that we're going to end on, Lee. Excuse me. This one comes in from Sam. Big up, Sam. Says that Spursiness must be contagious. I like that. That's
yeah,
quality.
I like that. I like that. That's a good one.
I like that a lot. That's quality. This one comes in from Chaitanya. Says, big up, Lee and Dan. Your predictions for the next 5 games. Next 5 games. Let's bring them up and let's end on that, Lee, because we have got some tough games. I mean, listen, I say tough games. They're all tough, aren't they? There's none that I look at and go, oh, we'll be fine in the next 5 games. Next 5 games, the Leeds at home, Liverpool away, West Ham away, Southampton at home, and Man City away. I'll give mine and then I'll let you end the show with yours, Lee. I'm not going to give score predictions, but I'm going to give wins, draws, or losses. I think we'll beat Leeds at home. I think we will beat Liverpool at Anfield. I think we'll beat West Ham away. I think we'll beat Southampton. And I think we'll draw at the Etihad. Now, that is if we've got our team fully fit, no injuries, and it stays as it is now. So I think we'll drop points at Man City, but I think we'll win the rest. Now, Anfield's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. It is, right? It's going to be very, very hard. But I just think the way Liverpool are in terms of their inconsistencies that we'll have enough to cause them problems. I think if we have that trio fit in midfield, we'll absolutely dominate them. Absolutely dominate. Their midfield's shocking. Their defence can be got at. I think if we keep Jesus and Partey fit and Saka as well, if Saliba's not out for as long as we think, I think they're all very, very key for us. And if we have that first 11 fit, I honestly think we'll go to the Etihad and we'll take something. And that is why I think that we will get to the next 5 games and we will know that we've won the league. But that's just my prediction, Lee. So what about you?
Listen, if we have that, I'll part your hand off for it now because that would win us the league. You know what I mean? Listen, people turn around and say, there's 10 games. Win those next 5 games, and that's it. Done. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because we got City in that 5 game as well. So
we'd
we win
be
them.
about 14 points clear of them with about 5 games left. Massive, massive games. You know what I mean? I think that too. I think Leeds would be difficult because Leeds have caused us problems before in Championship winning time. You know what I mean? I look back twice; they've messed us up in the past. But I think we're at home. We should get through that. Liverpool's the one for me. Liverpool is the one for me because if we beat Liverpool, we then go to Southampton on a Friday, and if we beat them, whatever Man City do, we will be 11 points clear of them because they have got the FA Cup that weekend. Going into the Etihad game, 11 points clear, Dan, would be unbelievable. If we beat West Ham as well, just so which is going to be tough. West Ham's not going to be easy. But if we were to beat Liverpool, then West Ham, Southampton, we win our next 4 games. Whatever happens, we go to the Etihad 11 points clear. You only need to draw. Psychological, that's massive,
And that for me, Lee, is why what I want to see now with this Arsenal side, because we have gone to teams and we've got into the game, we're getting dominated, and we've just lost our heads, and we've gone gun-ho, and we got excited. We're back in it, 1-1, we're back in it, and we end up losing at Old Trafford. Manchester City, we gave the game away and put in certain parts at the Emirates by just stupid mistakes. Don't want to see that at the Etihad. Don't want to see that at Anfield. So for me, when you cannot win the game, do not lose it. Because we're in a position right now where we can go to the Etihad, and this is serious. We can go to the Etihad, no matter how many points there are between us. We can go to the Etihad knowing that we do not have to beat them, but they have to beat us. So make it hard. Do what Newcastle did in parts of the game if you have to against us and go, look, we might not beat you. We're not really here to play football because if we do that, we're going to lose 3 or 4-0. So we're going to make it very, very hard. Now, we can go to the Etihad and play football and we have a chance of beating them. But if we do not go there with the attitude of, right, half hour to go, it's 1-1, we're getting caned here. We ain't losing this game. We ain't going to win it now, but we definitely ain't going to lose it. Let's shut up shop. And that's what I want to see this Arsenal team do. We did it last season, funny enough, at Wolves away and Anfield away. Do you remember? We did it last year, one in the League Cup, one in the league, but he made it very, very hard for him. We were not going to lose that game. But we beat them at Wolves, mind you. But at Anfield, 0-0, 10 men, shut up shop, Holding comes on, we don't lose. And that's what I need to see more if we're going to win this title.
That is great. I think when we go to Liverpool, we've got to do exactly that. Now, people turn around and go, "Oh, Liverpool, have you seen your record at Liverpool?" Yeah, well, I've seen our record in the league, but when we went there,
change it, isn't it? Time to change it.
Yeah, time to change it. Went there in the cup last season, about 10 men, and dug out a defensive performance. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to defend very, very well against these sort of times and be ruthless on the attack. I think the game against Man City, I think we'll go for it. And just say if we've gone for it and we're going for it and it's 1-1 with 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, then that's when I think you turn around and go, do you know what? We ain't losing this game now. We're settled for what we've got. That's what I want to see. Not go gun-ho and lose it in the last minute or something like that. Be very, very... We're in a position where we can be not cautious, like, what's the word I'm looking for? We can be smart. We haven't got to chase games. We haven't got to chase any game we play at this moment in time. If we do the right thing against Leeds and the right thing against Southampton's at the home games, take care of our home games. Whatever happens, Dan, we must win every single home game. We must do that. Then when we go to Anfield is going to be tough. Look, there's no two ways about it. That's going to be a difficult game. We don't know what Liverpool's going to turn up because before we play Liverpool on that day, they've got Man City before. So if they win Man City, say if they beat Manchester City, they're going to come at us right from the start because they've got the top four and all that. Like if they've lost to Man City, I don't know what's going to happen with them. Like, you know what I mean? And then one thing you don't know about Liverpool, you don't know what Liverpool's going to turn up. One week they beat Man United 7-0, and then the next week they go and lose to Bournemouth. We've been a team like that at stages, so we've got to see how it goes. I honestly think that the tough games, I'm going to be really honest, the home games, I'm not convinced we've been that great at home. We've been, certainly was against Crystal Palace, but that's the first time in a very, very long while struggled.
I think clean sheets have been a problem at home, definitely.
Yes. Yeah, we've got to defend a lot better at home. And then, I think we're definitely more robust to the way we defend away from home. There's a little bit more into it because we're away from home. We go a little bit gun-ho at times at home to try and get the goal. But listen, I think that's how you have to do it against these sort of teams when they're playing these deep blocks. I honestly think that if we win our next 4 games, we'll be okay. Like, yeah, we did play well against Everton, not for the first 45 minutes of that game or 40 minutes. We were struggling, But I think that we're in a good position at this moment in time. I think that if you're going to put, look, we haven't won at Anfield for a very, very long while, Dan. Look, you know what I mean? This is the time to go and do it. This is the time to go and do it. And I honestly think that if we beat them, if we beat Leeds and then we beat Liverpool, I think that will be such a boost for us. I think that we'll go on and
it depends what City do against Liverpool as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say it now. I think if we beat Liverpool, I think we could go up to Man City and win as well. I really do. I think that Liverpool game,
momentum
and all that. I do. I think it's key because I do think then Man City might have to do a couple of silly things and leave themselves open against us. Do you imagine if it's 10, 15 minutes to go from the end? We're 11 points clear of them. They might have to go, do something silly and we can pick them off. So I just think that game against Liverpool is such a key game.
Listen, last time we beat Liverpool, Santi Cazorla and Podolski were in the side. That's how long ago it was, 2012, I think. And Man City as well, I think, was Giroud, where he got them couple of headers and Cazorla just run the show, and we're going back to like 2015,
was it 2-0? I think they had someone
2-0.
sent off that day and all, didn't they?
Yeah, we got a penalty and someone got sent off. I think Monreal won a penalty, I remember, and we went 2-0. But I do honestly believe that is the last time we beat City. But they'll probably correct me in the chat if that's wrong. But I believe they're the last times we won at the Etihad and Anfield anyway. So, it will be a very interesting time
listen,
for us.
Dan, win those 2 games, mate. Win those 2 games. And we will be champions. I've got no two ways about it. Like,
well, they're the 2 everyone's talking about, aren't they? And rightly so. Anfield and Etihad in the last couple of years has been horrendous to go to. So fair play. Dishy says, big up the judge and you, Dan. Thank you very much. Says Lee, you're hilarious and an inspiration.
Thank you very much.
Boys, if we win this league, give me 2 or 3 marquee signings. I'd love Declan Rice and Moussa Diaby. Big up. come on, you Gunners, mate. And listen, I'll take both of them. And I do think we will get 2 or 3 marquee signings, Lee,
Yeah,
if we do
100%.
win the
We're
league.
going
I
to
think.
have to. We're going to have to.
Yeah,
We
and I
have
think
to.
Declan Rice will be at least. I'll be one of them. And I don't listen. Moussa Diaby, I like him a lot. I think he's a great winger. I love Osimhen. Absolutely love Osimhen from Napoli. I think he is an absolute monster
Beast.
and a beast. So I can see those sort of names being linked with Arsenal if we win. To be fair, I can see him linked with us anyway. But I think actually buying those types, winning the league, we'll be able to buy those types of players. So let's hope we can do it, Lee. What an hour! How quick has that gone? I tell you.
Gone quick that night. You know what I mean? I've got cake to eat. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you have. I know. I can see you munching on it, but you can't wait. You've opened it already. Do you know what I'm saying? He's already straight in there. Listen, guys, make sure you do us a favor. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe and head us towards 40k, which has been amazing, guys. So thank you so much for that. Smash a like on your way out. If you can come do the same to my channel, that'd be much appreciated on Football's 12th Man podcast. We're heading over to 8k there, and I'll be on there later on tonight. So make sure you head over and do that as well. And me and Lee will be back. We're going to do some more regular content around this time. So we'll be trying to do some daily news shows and getting some more previews on and doing some post-match reviews as well. So make sure if you're not subscribed that you already are. And we will see you next time up the Arsenal. Take care, people.
Go on, you Gunners.